What the screen cannot store. The architecture of what oral transmission actually builds and why it cannot be downloaded. If all the wisdom your parents gave you could be written down, would it still be wisdom or would it become something else? There is a big difference between knowing and being informed. There is a word in Arabic that doesn't translate well into the language of technology, tarbiyah. It is usually rendered as upbringing or education, but neither word captures what it means. Tarbiyah is closer to formation, the slow, patient relational process through which a child is shaped into a person who carries certain values not as rules but as instincts. You cannot download tarbiyah. You cannot stream it. You cannot find it in a search result. It requires time, proximity, repetition, and the living presence of someone who already carries it. It is transmitted the way language itself is transmitted, not through grammar lessons, but through immersion in a world where the language is spoken by people who love it. My parents gave me tarbiyah not in a single conversation, but across thousands of ordinary moments. Each one small, each one in retrospect precisely calibrated. The correction that came without humiliation, the praise that arrived only when it was truly earned, the expectation held quietly without pressure but ever dropped. These were not accidents, they were a method, one that had been refined across generations before me. A parent today competes with an infinite stream of content for their child's attention. The phone arrives before the lesson does. The answer exists before the question is fully formed. The child who once had to sit with not knowing and learn from that discomfort now has instant resolution. What is lost is not information. What is lost is the space inside which information happens. The pause, the uncertainty, the presence of an elder who holds you inside, the difficulty long enough for something to grow. A child who has never sat with a question long enough to feel its weight cannot be formed by its answer. Polanyi's most cited insight is that we can know more than we can tell. Tacit knowledge, the deep competence that an expert carries in their hands. Their instincts, their immediate perception cannot be made fully explicit. It is acquired only through apprenticeship, by being near someone who already has it, by watching, imitating, and practicing under their guidance. The parent-child relationship is the oldest and most powerful form of tacit transmission there is. No platform has yet found a way to replicate it because it depends on something no platform can provide, a relationship over time in the same physical space between a person who knows and a person who is becoming. I want to say something specific about the Moroccan cultural context, something that is easy to take for granted until it starts to disappear. Moroccan culture has one of the richest oral traditions in the world, proverbs, al-amthal. The proverb is not merely a decorative feature of the language, it is a technology of wisdom transmission. A single proverb can carry centuries of collective experience about how to behave in a situation, compressed into a sentence so precise and so memorable that it outlives the person who first said it. My parents used proverbs not as ornaments but as tools. A proverb offered at the right moment in a child's life doesn't explain what to do. It gives the child a lens through which to see the situation themselves. This is the genius of oral pedagogy. It doesn't produce dependence, it produces capacity. It gives the child not a fish and not a fishing lesson, it gives them a way of seeing the river. And the river in the Moroccan oral tradition has been flowing for a very long time. Goody's research across oral and literate cultures show that oral societies develop extraordinary mnemonic sophistication precisely because they cannot externalize memory into text. The Moroccan tradition of proverbs, stories, and spoken wisdom is not a pre-modern relic. It is a highly evolved system for encoding and transmitting values in a form the mind can hold, pass on, and apply situationally. Goody warned that the transition to literacy and by extension to digital information culture doesn't simply add a new layer. It can displace and devalue the old tradition, causing the community to lose its most reliable mechanism of values transmission without necessarily replacing it with anything of equivalent depth. What is the proverb or the sentence or the moment from your own childhood that you still carry, and have you ever stopped to ask who you would be without it?